Hello, it's Jimmy here, the Wellies. We have here a Toyota Land Cruiser. Right, inside this one we have DPF full, engine lights on, and it's got a strange issue which is common for these vehicles when this fault happens. Okay, so this vehicle is automatic and that is part of the issue that he's having. So you see we've got a DPF full message and a check engine visit your dealer message. Now the problem with this vehicle is that he's been to one of his local garages. They said they plugged it in, they can't get it to reset. He said he's had someone try to do force regens on it, and then his local garage have said it needs a new gearbox. But what's happening with this is when it's changing gears, you get a loud bang and the whole car jerks forward. I've seen it many times. For some reason, I don't even know what the reason is, but when the DPF light comes on like this, to a certain extent, your gear changes get erratic. The vehicle just gets confused and it can't even change gear properly. It's not a fault with the gearbox. If you fix the DPF, the fault for the gearbox will go away. So he's then taken it to Toyota. Toyota have refused any warranty on it, and they wanted, I think he said 4,800 to fit a new DPF to it. I've asked the customer, to show me the invoice. Have they invoiced you for a vaporizer? He said no, it's just a DPF. So roughly, from what I can get from that idea, is even if you fit that new DPF, they're not going to fix the problem. But I'm pretty sure Toyota should know that that there's a cause behind why the DPF's blocked, and it's on these vehicles. It's most likely going to be that fifth injector, or also known as a vaporizer. Okay, so I haven't plugged it in yet, but that's just from my experience, and I'm going to use this scan tool here, which is Launch X431 €. We'll run an intelligent scan. For this intelligent scan on these, you do have to have the internet connected, otherwise you just go into the normal sort of pick your car menu. Some people don't understand that. I've got messaged a few times saying, no, I'm trying to use the intelligent diagnose, and it doesn't load, it just keeps loading, and it keeps saying that it's not working. You have to have internet connection for that, otherwise you can go into a standard check. Right, so this is Toyota anyway, diagnostic. It's a Land Cruiser Prado. I've not plugged it in yet, but we're going to go through it. They're normally going to be the same thing, unless it's something surprising. But all of the ones of these I've seen so far have been the same issue. So from what this customer's telling me, he's got a couple of these vehicles, and when this one gave the issues, he's brought it back and forth to these two garages that he's talked about. One was just a local garage, and the other one was a main dealer. But because of the inconsistencies, people were saying, one guy was saying it needs a gearbox and a DPF, and then the other garage were saying it needs a new DPF. And obviously the prices were high. He didn't want to risk just chucking money at it, because both garages were he said that both of them didn't seem confident in, is that going to fix it? Because he asked, if I pay this money, is that going to fix it? And they said they're not 100% sure. So obviously he didn't want to do that. He had done a little bit of research on it and found me, so he's brought it to me. All right, so let's continue with the diagnosis. So just another quick thing to mention is, if you've got one of these, and if you're looking at some of these symptoms, is your cruise control stops working, you get these flat wheel signs on, and the traction control stops working as well. In a rear-wheel drive Toyota Land Cruiser, having no traction control is not what you want in wet weather. Okay, we've just finished doing the scan. Let's check what fault codes we have. Okay, we've got reductant pump stuck off. We've got particle filter reductant pump control A, reductant level 2 low. Okay, so it looks like it's run out of AdBlue. He didn't mention anything about that. He didn't say there was any. He did send me a code which he had for a DPF blockage. Right, so all of these ones can be ignored, because, like I said, all of these faults, they just pop up when you've got a blocked DPF. And this sonar one, all of that comes up when you've got a blocked DPF. Right, reductant pump A performance stuck off. That might Might even be because the fluid's been left go low. Let's see if we can confirm if we've got AdBlue in it. Go to data stream if we can. See if we can find the reductant level. Okay, now this is just throwing a spanner in the works for me because AdBlue parts are very, very difficult to get hold of. I just cannot get hold of any AdBlue parts, especially for a Toyota here while I'm working here now. I mean, it's not impossible to get hold of them, but they're not something I can just call my local parts supplier and say, can you drop me in? If it was a DPF pressure sensor, if it was a vaporizer, if it was even an actual DPF, I could make a phone call and I'll have one delivered here in maybe an hour or two. But these type of parts are only available from Toyota, and usually there's like a 6-week wait or more. So I'm just having a quick look at the reductant pressure. I'm not sure exactly where the normal level is on one of these because don't really see a lot of these at the moment. Let me just go back to reductant and see what else we've got there for it. We'll just select everything there and go through, see if we can find anything that looks off or not. It doesn't, from what I can see so far, I can't see a fill level. Replenishment possible value. Well, replenishment possible value is what I think is how much AdBlue it can hold at the moment. I mean, how much is left until it's completely full. 2.9 litres. That looks like it's reading, it's fluctuating slightly. So if we shake the car, see, it does move. Right, what I'm going to do for now is we're going to concentrate on the DPF, and hopefully when the DPF is sorted out, this reductant fault goes away. It looks like it's been left go too low, and that's what's caused that off, which is a completely separate. He did send me a screenshot of the fault codes that he had when it was at Toyota, and this reductant one wasn't there. Okay, so engine cover off there. Here's what we're looking at on the engine. Right, so just down here, in between that gap, you've got an injector there. I'm going to need to get that out, which is a case of removing these boost holes here and a few other little bits and pieces. So just on each 4 corners there, we've got some of those bolts. We're just going to remove those, and then that will allow you to just give it a bit of wiggle room, and we can get this hose pipe off here. So here now we've got a few 14mm bolts. We're going to get those out just under here and disconnect the fuel line to it here. So next, just under here, there's a coolant hose. We've just removed that. There's 2 coolant hoses, one just over there, one under there. We're going to now need to get these studs out because it's hard to slide the part away unless we get the studs out of here. So now with those studs out of the way, you can just slide that to the left. See, it's water cooled as well, so you can slide it out. And here is the problem here most of the time. This injector gets blocked, so we're going to need to disassemble this and get that injector unblocked. Disassemble these first. Then we're going to have a separation of that. Put that over there. You've got 3 bolts there for that. Now we can access these bolts, which are here. I might need to hold it, but we'll see. Yeah, we're going to need to hold that. Okay, now with those bolts taken out, we've got 2 bolts there and then another little one just under there, which is a T40 Torx. Now we can get this injector unblocked. There's a small spray nozzle here at the end. You see it gets blocked up with carbon, and it can't spray diesel into the DPF. Diesel is what heats up the DPF. So even if you're getting some diesel come out, if you're not getting the right amount to get the correct heat, it has to be a very specific amount. So we need to now unblock that. So I'm going to use this tool here. It's a Pickler heat induction tool. Now I'm going to get that onto the tip of this, and we're going to get some heat onto it, just like that. Can I hear my inverter going a bit crazy there? Basically, we're going to get that red hot. It's going to burn away the carbon. This takes a lot of power, so I should have my engine running. to keep the battery charged on the inverter. I just need to hold it there for about a minute or so and it'll get rid of this carbon that's blocking the injector port, the tip of the injector there. You see now, once that dries away, you'll see that the end of the injector is visibly clear. So now it's just a reverse of putting all this together. Obviously now you just need to make sure that this little port here is clean as well, that that's got a nice flow through it. Okay, so now I've just reassembled all of that back in reverse order. Just down the back here we have the DPF. I'm going to go into one of the pipes here to get it clean, which would be this one, which is a larger diameter pipe. Just going to remove the clip and hopefully try and pull it off. You know, I've connected our cleaning gun onto there. Now this is connected to an airline at 120 psi. It's got this fluid inside, DPF cleaning fluid from Launch UK. Okay, so I've put a little bit of fluid in there, just about 5 seconds worth of holding the trigger because we don't want to overfill it. It's quite close to the engine, this DPF. So just a little bit in there, let that soak for a couple of minutes. Now we run the engine and we put the rest of the fluid in. Just hold the trigger down. The rest of the cleaning fluid in. Goes down there. Now all of the fluid's in, we're just going to remove this and then we can get our sensor reconnected back up. Just like that. The little clip back on. Okay, now back inside the car, we'll graph this basically. No, not report, sorry. I don't want to do a report, can I cancel? Okay, we've got our graph up, so we see we're hovering around sort of roughly 150 millibars of pressure there, just under. Particulate soot accumulation is on 170%. So a lot of cars that will just lock in, so no matter how clean you get the DPF, that will not reduce until you either tell it it's got a new DPF, or in Toyota's case you have to run a regeneration process. But you're not allowed to run a regeneration process, that's locked out. It won't allow, these have got their own button just down here, which allows you to regen the vehicle on its own. But when the DPF gets completely full, you're not allowed to do that because it's not safe any longer. The DPF will overheat and crack. So obviously Toyota, as a safety measure, it disables that option. Now if I hold the revs up at 3000 RPM, or 2.5 to 3000 RPM, a lot of these modern diesels are really hard to get the revs to stay in one place. So now we'll just hold those revs there and keep an eye on that graph. We want that graph to come down below 60 at 3000 RPM. That's when you know you're in a safe level of the DPF soot and DPF pressure. The DPF soot is calculated by the pressure. So if you've got say 150 millibars of pressure, your soot accumulation will increase by percentage. So it's based on pressure. And if you've got low pressure, the soot should decrease. But once you get up to this level, it locks out on most vehicles. I don't know if it's going to do it on this one. I can't remember if Toyota do that. It looks like they are, because it's not reducing so far. Now, if we look outside, we're going to get a lot of steam. It's not smoke; it's just steam. Already we can see we're down to a safe level there at the revs. That's at idle, and we'll hold the revs back up. (3000 RPM). We have just under 50 millibars of pressure. It will lower a little bit more than that, as we've only just been holding the revs for just a few minutes. So here's the complicated part with Toyota now. I normally just go in and reset the DPF special functions, but a lot of these Toyotas, they don't have it. So sometimes the only way to do it is to trigger off a force regen, even though it doesn't need it. It's usually the only way to get the soot level to drop, or I've done it in the past, disconnect the battery on these. It doesn't work on most vehicles. I see that a lot on people's advice. Oh, disconnect the battery and that will work. I've never hardly ever seen it work, but it does work on these new Toyotas. Right, so we're just clicking into the special functions here now. What we're going to try and do is first do the DPF deposition value clear. Press that. You can see there that hasn't cleared because it still looks like it's full. So the next option we have is to do this one. Sometimes it won't even allow us to do this. We'll see what happens. And I'll talk you through a little bit of how the DPF blocked up as well as we do this. See, immediately as you press that, it says it's complete. So it hasn't done anything. A lot of Toyotas, you also need to do the oil maintenance reset. Okay, so just confirming in the live data that we're still at 170%. So we're just trying to do a code clear now, see if that gets the warning to go away. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't on these. Like I said, there's a few different tricks to get these to reset. Let's turn the ignition off, restart it. Now it's come back up. So we're just going to disconnect the battery terminals. Okay, now that we've disconnected the battery, we are able to press the manual regeneration button there. See that? That's just that switch down there. So by resetting the battery, that's allowed us to do that. So we spoke about, I'm going to show you a little bit why this DPF blocked and why now it's going to work. Because if you just clean it and you don't find out why it blocked, it's going to likely come back in 2 or 3 days again, which I see a lot of. So I'm showing you now some numbers on the screen. So here we're looking at the DPF temperature. So that little injector that I've taken out, the vaporizer, it controls the heat here on the DPF, either between bank 1 or sensor 2 or sensor 3, sorry. Depends on how the vehicle's designed, where sensor 2 and 3 is, but normally it's sensor 3, could be sensor 2 on this. What we want is these to reach 600, between 580 to 650 degrees, and that's when this soot accumulation here will drop down. So you see by removing the battery, that drops from 170 to 164, so it's no longer locked in. If it reaches 170, it's locked. So now we're just below the threshold of where it needs to be able to trigger off the regen process. So what we want to see now is this is able to reach 650 degrees. If I tried to do this before I cleaned the vaporizer, this would only reach maybe 300 degrees or 400, but by unblocking the vaporizer, it's now going to be able to, well, it should be able to, as long as it's cleaned properly, spray the right amount of fuel in to get it to reach 620 degrees roughly. Once this reaches 600 degrees, you'll see these numbers rapidly drop down, the percentage. Even though the pressure is good, these are just calculations in the ECU, and the only way the ECU on these Toyotas can reduce this calculation is by reaching this 600 degrees. Okay, there's some bad news. It's not reaching temperature, so it looks like it's going to need a new vaporizer, but I can show you a little workaround for that temporarily until we can get one. So again, we're back to this tool. We're going to get that onto the temperature sensor of the DPF. You see the temperature is not going above 350 degrees. So we get the heat induction tool on the tip of the exhaust gas temperature sensor. So by using this here onto the temperature sensor, we'll get it up to 600 degrees, and you'll see the soot start to drop down. See, by tricking the temperature sensor, we can get the soot loading to come down. Okay, now that we've got that down to 16%, we can now reset the fault, and it will stay clear this time. Clear. Okay, so a little bit of an update. It's been a couple of days. We have got a part from Toyota. I'm having a real struggle trying to talk with Toyota and explain what this part is. I'm telling them it's a vaporizer. They said there's not one listed. Diesel injector, 5th injector. They said there's not. The only injector that we've got, we call it a urea injector. Well, I said, okay, well, maybe that's it. I explained where it is, but they've given me this. Okay, so I've waited 2 days for this, and that is a AdBlue injector. This is not what I've asked for. Okay, so just for the viewer's interest, this part was paid for by the customer, and I was told by him that with these gaskets and stuff that it came to 980 odd pound. Okay, so here is some more fault codes that we have. Yeah, P2463, P20CD, and P20CD. That's the exhaust after treatment fuel injector. So that's another word for it. Looks like because we've got the vaporizer right, what I've tried to do now is I've just let it seep in some DPF cleaner, and then I've let it soak in some brake cleaner as well. We've put some more heat on it, just gave it a bit of a more vigorous clean. Put it back in. You know, we've just started this job thinking we were going to fit a new vaporizer again or a fifth injector into it, but didn't go to plan. So I thought we'll give it another go, see if we can get it cleaned up again. Okay, some good news. I don't know why it didn't work first time, but we've cleaned it up this time and it looks like we're working. We've got 600 degrees on the DPF, so once that's finished, this little buttoned cycle down here, all of these lights, you can see there the graph has come down. Even though, like I said, even though the DPF is clean, for the ECU, you know, to correct itself, this process needs to finish. So that is it, we're all sorted. Our DPF is empty. We have a particle matter accumulation of 8%. You can see there the DPF reached up to 692 degrees. So obviously that's still in a process of cooling down, and the particle matter accumulation there is still dropping. We're at 6% now. It'll probably drop down to 4 just in a minute. So that's one Toyota there, all finished. Now it took a fair bit longer than I was expecting, but we got it sorted, and I'll see you on our next video. I hope it's a good learning experience. And like I said, we've had a lot of issues with Toyota. I was even on the phone again to Toyota today, and we, you know, telling them this is the wrong injector, and they're adamant that's the only injector that's fitted on these vehicles is the AdBlue urea injector. I said no, it's a diesel injector. They said no, we don't have one listed. There's not one fitted on it. So if Toyota tell you that, make sure, listen to these words, look at this video. There is definitely a fifth injector on these. I don't know why Toyota are saying that. Anyway, see you on the next video.